New Delhi, you're watching DTA India Live, India's Watch to the World. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Quad foreign ministers express concern over dangerous use of Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels in the region, reiterate opposition to any unilateral actions that seek to change the status quo by force or coercion. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says relationship right now with China is not good, not normal, can improve only if they respect the LOC and respect agreements signed in the past.
Are your relations with China? I have to tell you, they are not good, they are not normal right now.
In other big story, Israel's cabinet authorized government to respond to Hezbollah rocket strike. Hezbollah on high alert in case of retaliation. And Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni meets Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, pledges to improve ties. Foreign ministers' meeting took place in Tokyo today, where leaders of the four nations discussed and deliberated upon the key global challenges concerning the world, where specific focus remained on the Indo-Pacific region. The leaders emphasized the importance of adherence to international law and importance of the group in maintaining a prosperous, stable and free Indo-Pacific.
Foreign ministers of India, Australia and Japan and the Secretary of State of the United States of America gathered in Tokyo, Japan for the Foreign Ministers' Meet of Quad nations. The leaders reaffirmed their commitment, common principles and capacities to preserve and strengthen the international order for the global good. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar highlighted the major global challenges and the need for the Quad to promote a rule-based international order and its ability to ensure that the Indo-Pacific remains free.
Major challenge is to ensure global economic growth while also de-risking it. Supply chains are a particular focus for resilience, just as we push for trusted and transparent digital partnerships. In a sense, we are in the midst of a re-globalization. At the same time, it is only our collective endeavors that can proof the international system against disruptions, man-made or natural. Our meeting should send a clear message that the Quad is here to stay, here to do, and here to grow.
Amid the rising instances of transgressions and intimidation in South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific region, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken stressed upon the need to bolster maritime security and domain awareness to ensure a prosperous and stable Indo-Pacific region.
We are charting a course for a more secure and open Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean region by bolstering maritime security and domain awareness. In practical terms, what does this mean? It means strengthening the capacity of partners across the region to know what's happening in their own waters.
Meanwhile, the Australian Foreign Minister raised the alarm over long-standing international rules being broken and twisted, calling Quad a central leadership for the stability of the region.
Long-standing rules are being bent and twisted or broken. Countries face coercive trade measures, unsustainable lending, political interference and disinformation. All of these encroach on the ability of every country. For Australia, this Quad partnership is central. We are enabling choices in terms of the character of the region we want, a region in which sovereignty and the capacity to both agree and disagree is safeguarded.
After the meeting, the foreign ministers also called on the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, where the ministers briefed him of the key takeaways of their meeting. The Quad Foreign Ministers Meet has laid out an agenda for the upcoming Quad Leaders Summit planned to take place in India this year, where the leaders of the four nations will take on the key challenges and opportunities arising in the rapidly changing geopolitical landscape of the Indo-Pacific region. Akshay Dongre, DD India.
On the Russia-Ukraine conflict, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated that no solution will emerge from the battlefield and there must be a return to dialogue and diplomacy. Dr. Jaishankar said this while holding a presser in Tokyo after the Quad meeting.
From the very beginning, had the view that use of force does not resolve problems between countries. And in the last 2.5 years, as this conflict has deepened, it has cost lives, it has done economic damage, it has had global consequences. We believe that there must be a return to dialogue and diplomacy. Our feeling today is that, more needs to be done, that we should not resign ourselves to the continuation of the current state of conflict and say, well, let this take its own course.
And talking about India's ties with China, Minister S. Jaishankar termed India's relations with China as not very well and said relations can be better if China respects the line of actual control and agreements.
Our relations with China are not doing very well. The main reason for that was that in 2020, during the COVID, China brought very large forces to the border areas between India and China in violation of agreements that we had with China. The consequences of that, because the issue has not been resolved fully, continue. If you ask me how are your relations with China, I have to tell you they are not good, they are not normal right now. But obviously as a neighbor we hope for a better relationship, but that can only happen if they respect the line of actual control and if they respect agreements which they have signed in the past.
In fact, the joint statement of Quad has stressed on providing tangible benefits for the region. The statement, the high points on your screen, says that Quad is committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific, upholding the free and open rules-based international order. Quad is up for ASEAN's unity and centrality and the ASEAN-led regional architecture, including the East Asia Summit and ASEAN Regional Forum. Quad emphasizes the importance of United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea to resolve maritime claims and disputes. The statement also said that Quad is concerned about the situation in the East and South China Seas and coercive and intimidating maneuvers. It further says that Quad is there to promote supplier diversification and enhancing semiconductor supply chains among members. Further adding that Quad establishes Quad Cyber Ambassadors meeting to discuss capacity building projects. Quad is, it says, against terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. Quad calls for concerted action against all UN-listed terrorist groups, which includes Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, including their proxy groups. As per the joint statement, Quad unequivocally condemns the terror attack on 7th October 2023 in Israel. Meanwhile, the Quad joint statement has not gone well with Chinese establishment, with sharp reactions coming from Beijing. China's foreign ministry has accused Quad of falsely accusing China of maritime crimes. During a regular news briefing in Beijing, Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson Lin Jian described the joint statement as, and I quote, irresponsible and a blatant interference in China's internal affairs, unquote.
The Japan-US joint statement showed a disregard to the facts, distorted the truth, maliciously attacked China's foreign policy, blatantly interfered in China's internal affairs. They maliciously attacked and discredited China on maritime issues and made irresponsible remarks on China's normal military development and national defense policy. China is strongly dissatisfied with the exaggeration of China's threat and the malicious speculation of regional tension.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin on Monday met with his Japanese counterpart Minoru Kihara on the sidelines of the U.S.-Japan Security Consultative Committee, which is also known as 2+2. Both the leaders agreed to enhance bilateral defense cooperations to deepen coordination with its allies' forces as plans for a major revamp of U.S. military command in Japan was announced by the U.S. and Japan on Sunday following 2+2 meeting. The new command structure would be implemented in parallel with Tokyo's own plans to establish a joint command for its forces by March 2025. The overhaul is among several measures taken to address what the countries say was an evolving security environment, noting that various threats from Japan's neighbor, that is China.
Together, we are enhancing our ability to deter and respond to destabilizing actions. And today we'll continue to advance key areas for defense cooperation, including alliance strike capabilities, our presence in the Southwest Islands, joint exercises and training, ISR cooperation, and force posture.
Australia is launching a new cable connectivity and resilience center to help undersea cable network in the Indo-Pacific. Australian Minister for Foreign Affairs Penny Wong, in a statement, announced that the center will ensure that Indo-Pacific networks are resilient and all countries can benefit from the reliable connectivity and the growth of the digital economy. The statement added that the work is integral to the prosperity and security of the region. Australia is going to invest more than $18 million over the next 4 years in the center. This investment will provide technical assistance and training across the Indo-Pacific. The pledged investment will share information and host dialogues to strengthen engagement between Indo-Pacific governments and industry. Fishermen in northern province of Philippines are worried about the recent oil spill over empty Terra Nova capsize last week. The oil spill that is washing up the shores may affect their livelihoods and lives both. The government is inspecting the cause of the spill. In other news, it was a day of thrills and marvels as tourists and residents celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Mostar's traditional bridge in Bosnia. The 16th century architecture marvel had been destroyed during the Balkan Wars. It was rebuilt in 2004 and inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. London's famous Kew Gardens are also facing the risk of climate change as some of the trees have started showing the signs. Experts predict the trees may totally die by 2090. It is due to the drier soils that reduce the amount of water access to the trees. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live, coming up next, in China, floodwater breaches another 2 dikes along Huan River, submerging multiple villages in southern Henan province. And Venezuela's National Electoral Council declares President Nicolas Maduro winner in these presidential elections. International Tiger Day observed raises awareness of the decline in the numbers of wild tigers.
This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris, and DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama and the triumphs. With exclusive reports, expert analysis and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris. Only on DD India. Every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Shifting focus to Israel-Palestine. Israel's Security Cabinet on Sunday authorized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to decide when and how Israel responds to the deadly attacks on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Israel has said...
Citizens of Israel, like you, I was shocked to see the horrific photos in the wake of Hezbollah's murderous attack in Majd al-Shams. Among those who were murdered are young children who were playing soccer and others. All of our hearts are broken over these sights. I can say that the state of Israel will not let this pass in silence, will not overlook this.
Well, Israel has said that Hezbollah will pay the price after a rocket attack at Golan Heights, which killed 12 children, for which Tel Aviv has blamed the terror group. Israel's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, has pledged a heavy response during a visit to the town of Majdal Shams near the Syrian and Lebanese borders. Meanwhile, Hezbollah has denied any responsibility for the attack on Majdal Shams on Saturday, the deadliest in Israel or Israeli-occupied territory since Hamas's attack of October 7th, which sparked the conflict in Gaza. Hezbollah was on high alert and had cleared some key sites in both Lebanon's south and the eastern Bekaa Valley in case of any Israeli attack. As tension escalates now, some flights at Beirut airport have been cancelled or delayed, with Lebanon's Middle East Airlines saying that disruptions to its schedule were related to insurance risk. Flights like Lufthansa, Turkish, Greek and Ethiopian Airlines have also cancelled their flights to Beirut, scheduled for Monday. President Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela has clinched Venezuela's presidential polls according to the partial results announced by the Electoral Council. The head of the National Electoral Council, Elvis Omaroso, declared that Maduro had secured 51.20% of the vote, with 80% of the ballots being counted, while his main rival, Edmundo Gonzalez, has won 44.02%.
Nicolás Maduro. Y a Milei le digo, Milei.
When Donald Trump denounced he had the election stolen, we didn't meddle with that. We didn't tell them to do this or do that. This is in their hands, an internal affair the United States will solve. So this is what I demand as President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela: respect for the Constitution, the public authorities, and the sovereign life of Venezuela.
Meanwhile, after the announcement of the results of the National Electoral Council, Maduro addressed cheering supporters outside the Miraflores presidential palace. He said the electoral system is transparent and called for a national dialogue.
Aquí también al 80%.
With 80% of the count, we can emit our first report that marks a strong and irreversible trend. With 80% of the ballots counted and with a level of participation at 59%, the results are as follows. First, Nicolas Maduro Moros of the Gran Polo Patriotico got 5,150,092 votes at 51.20%. Candidate Mundo Gonzalez of the Mesa de la Unidad got 4,445,978 votes at 44.2%.
Obtuvo 5 millones.
However, Venezuelan opposition has dismissed the Electoral Council's announcements as fraudulent. Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina has said that opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez has won. In fact, they've claimed that he has won 70% of the vote.
Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia got 70% of the votes in this election, and Nicolas Maduro received 30% of the votes. This is the truth, and my dear Venezuelans, this is the Venezuelan election with the largest margin of victory in history. Congratulations, Edmundo.
Shifting focus to some other news, Chinese President Xi Jinping has met Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in Beijing on Monday and has called for their two countries to review bilateral relations from a long-term perspective and also work together in international affairs. Meloni said she believed that Italy could play an important role in China's relations with the European Union and escalating trade tensions between the 27-strong bloc and world's second-largest economy. Floodwater has breached another two dikes along Huan River, submerging multiple villages in China's southern Henan province. Drone footage aired by CCTV showed flooded villages. In Xiangtan city, saying floodwaters was flowing back to the river as water receded in Huan River. One breached dike was sealed off by afternoon on the day, CCTV added. On Saturday, heavy rains triggered by tropical storm Gaimi collapsed a bridge in Yonling. China's state planner on Monday said it has issued 500 million yuan which is $69 million to support the recovery of Henan, Sichuan and Jiangxi province after heavy rainfall and flooding and typhoon disaster in Fujian. Well, today we join the global community in celebrating International Tigers Day, which is rooted in the historic agreement signed at the St. Petersburg Tiger Summit in 2010. DD India's Tapash Bhattacharya gives us this remarkable journey of tiger conservation with a special focus on India's pioneering Project Tiger.
Around the world, July 29th is celebrated as International Tiger Day. A day dedicated to raising awareness about tiger conservation and the protection of their natural habitats. This day serves as a reminder of the various agreements signed by various countries at the St. Petersburg Tiger Summit in Russia in 2010, aiming to highlight the critical decline in the global tiger population. By the 1970s, centuries of hunting and habitat destruction had reduced the number of wild tigers. In response, the Indian government declared tiger as India's national animal in 1973, banning hunting and launched a pioneering conservation initiative known as Project Tiger. This program focuses on conserving tigers in specially designated reserves, which represent various biogeographical regions across the country, striving to maintain viable tiger population in their natural environment. Today, India is home to more than 70% of the world's tiger population among the 13 tiger range countries, thanks to the long-standing efforts of the Project Tiger. This initiative has successfully allocated 2.3% of the country's geographical area to 54 tiger reserves. There are currently 3,682 on an average of tigers in India, an increase from 2,967 in 2018, reflecting an annual remarkable growth of 6.1%. Under the stewardship of Project Tiger, the initial 9 tiger reserves have now expanded to 54, supporting more than 70% of the global tiger population.
The success of Project Tiger underscores the importance of continued efforts in conservation and the protection of natural habitats. The remarkable increase in India's tiger population stands as a beacon of hope and a testament to the tireless work of conservationists worldwide. With camera person Sandeep, this is Tapash Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
And now to all the news from Paris Olympics. Well, Arjun Baboota of India came agonizingly close to a podium finish in 10-meter men's air rifle final, but had to settle for a 4th place finish with 208.4 points on Monday. Baboota looked good for the top 3 finish, but for the most part, but a 9.5 on the final shot saw him come up short. He became 2nd Indian shooter to miss out on a medal today. The 25-year-old Baboota started with a 10.7 to take charge of the final early, and he scored 105 from his first 10 shots and was 3rd. However, a 9.9 on his 13th shot and a 9.5 on his 20th shot and final shot saw him finish just outside the medal position, missing it just by a whisker. And with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X. Also, you can connect with us on Instagram. That's the code on your screen. You can download it, and we will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Thank you.